Make sure that you're profitable enough that you run a business when inevitably something goes wrong. You're going to be able to take care of your customer, period.
I see this all the time. The pay to go away mentality. We're paying you to do your job, you do your job. It's an egregious mindset that anyone who adopts should try to get rid of as soon as possible. Welcome back to another episode of the Mission Control Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stearns with Ascend Digital Agency. We got a couple roofers with us today. Kris O'Connor with OConnor Contracting, Corey with Southshore Roofing Exteriors. First and foremost, would like to say a shout out to the team at Roofer for being great and helping so many within the industry. If you need roof measurements, instant roof quotes, clean and pristine proposals, which will give your prospects no choice but to buy from you, CRM, anything, just hit up Roofer. There's going to be a link down in the description. You'll be happy you did. Gentlemen, welcome.
Sir,
how's it going?
Oh, it's going. It's going. And we about to cook. So grab your smock, throw your hat on, get a spatula, because it's go time. Christian, you ready to cook? Hey, he's ready too. Let's fuck it up. We talk about journey. We talk about successes. We talk about marketing, advertising, and obviously we talk about roofing. But I want to start today off a little bit differently. We're going to talk about some of the struggles, the failures, if you will. Look you get on social media and every roofer's talking about how much money they made, how great it is, and everyone's in the comment section like, oh, it must be nice. Oh, it's super easy. All you gotta do is this. How much should I pay my sales reps? Also, I need help on tax strategy. Guys, stop going to a Facebook group for tax strategy and legal advice.
Please stop.
Hire an attorney, get a CPA, 100%. Ask those questions to those folks. They're much more qualified. Listen, roofers are great. Guys like me, we're great. But we're not going to be the source to keep you out of jail when it comes time to answer your legal questions.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So I ask you both, and we'll start with Kris, then we'll go to Corey. When I ask you what's a struggle you've recently faced within your business, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, we've had some issues with during the job process, basically. We had an example a month ago. We had a roof open overnight. Homeowner calls me 11 o'clock at night. Starts leaking, it's pouring in water. Flat roof, not much we could do. The wife's calling me, she is freaking out. So what do? Put my boots on, head right out there.
Yep.
Get there, it's about an hour and a half away. Was not very happy at the time with my guys, just how it all unfolded. Got up there, it was about 12:30, it's pouring rain on us, or on me, not us.
Yeah.
I'm up there doing everything I can, just trying to watertight it. There's not much you could do. Got it dry for them. Showed up first thing in the morning for them. Just got back at home at, 2, 3 o'clock. Woke up 6. Headed right back out. Got it all dried out. $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 on that.
Yep.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows on this side of the thing. There are a lot of bad things that happen.
Yeah.
I am a big believer in taking care of your problems right away.
Yeah, I think that's important. All too often, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You take a restaurant, for example. If you screw up my steak, it's not the end of the world. However, there's a marked difference in how I choose to act moving forward based on the response of the waiter or waitress.
100%.
Server, I think, is what they say in
Server.
2024.
Yeah.
So, if you're acting as if you're doing me a favor by bringing me out a well-done steak when I asked for medium rare, and I asked if you would kindly just, give me what I'm paid for. Look, if I wanted to fuck up a steak, I'd go get a steak and fuck it up myself. Wouldn't pay you $80 to fuck it up for me.
Yeah.
So it's all about how it's handled.
Yeah.
And to your credit, yes, it's less than desirable that somebody's calling you at 10 o'clock in the evening, like, shit's fucked up, I need you here yesterday. But the way that you handled it, empathy, go out there. It's 90 minutes away. That also sucks.
Yeah.
You're getting pissed
It
on
wasn't
with
great,
rain.
yeah.
Not fantastic. But I can assure you, and for those of you watching, that's an example of how to handle it, because now you take a really poor situation and that person is going to not only be ecstatic with you, most likely, as long as you don't keep fucking up.
Yeah.
But that'll be the type of person that went from leaving just a scathing 1-star review to the type of person that'll leave you a 5-star review and then continue to refer you business moving forward.
Which they did.
It already happened.
Yep.
So listen, it's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how you respond when you get hit, how many times you get back up, all that good shit. Corey,
Yeah, for sure.
I ask you the same question. What's something you've experienced recently that has been less than desirable?
Well, I have a couple. I have some internal stuff from a sales standpoint, and we can talk about that later. But since we're talking about, production stuff, we had a couple recently. And by the way, Kris is a former installer. Kris is very technically savvy when it comes to roofing. So it wasn't a rookie mistake, right? It's not, something where you just didn't know. We had one recently last week where we hit a water line that was right against the roof deck, and literally half inch running a piece of PEX along. My guys are in there, they're outside. There's nobody in the house. They're nailing off the deck. One of the nails went through the rafter and punctured the water line and literally flooded out these people's house. I mean, there was probably about 1.5 inches of water, and we didn't find it for a couple hours. Nobody was there. And so, we went in there, we got it all dried out for them. And we had to have a hard conversation with the homeowner that in our contract, it says that, we can't be responsible for things that are outside building code. And we still called a mitigation company in there, got all the water dried out, got it all dried out, got everything, torn up. And I paid for that just, out of good faith. Mm-hmm. And so that was not great. They weren't happy, but at least we responded. We took care of what we needed to, and we had that hard conversation with the homeowner. There was another one that I just replaced a $43,000 tile roof. That's my cost that I had to do because right after COVID, one of my crews that doesn't work for me anymore, they made some fairly egregious mistakes on this roof, and we kept trying to fix it, and we just couldn't. And after 2 years, the homeowner said, "Look, what are we going to do here?" And I said, "We're just going to tear it off and redo it." And we did. And we started from scratch, and we cut every single piece of flashing out. We redid everything. And that sucked. That really sucked. Yeah. But, you just do the right thing.
Just do the right thing. And the trolls are going to go wild in the comments about these stories.
Oh, they are.
Let's do a little exercise here. I want to pull up. I want to pull up. You got a video that has over 1 million views.
Right. And 999,000 of them were telling me I'm a piece of shit that doesn't know what I'm doing. Right.
Of course. Yeah.
Listen, I want to hit the comment section here. And Christian, you can put these on as I'm kind of queuing these up.
I love the guys that are like, "Oh, I never make mistakes." Like, get the hell out of here.
And it's not even you on the job, right?
Yeah, right.
We're not on the job. I'm an installer from trade.
Yeah.
So sometimes it does bother me when stuff goes wrong, but you're not on the job.
I was on a ferry from Santorini to Mykonos. I know, poor me. It's the first time I've ever been to Europe. It was a lifelong dream. And I'm just watching. I pull this up, and I just see this comment section is getting fucking lit up, and I am cackling. And I'm texting Corey, and he's like, "Jesus Christ!" Okay, so for context, and Christian, I don't know if you want to pop this video in so he can play it, but essentially what happened was Corey had a job where a bundle of rooftop delivered shingles slid off, crushed an AC unit. And he was explaining, okay, shit happens. It's how you deal with it. So he dealt with it, had somebody come out, get them AC. It's Florida. It's hot as hell. And he was just talking about things that you could do when something goes sideways that you don't foresee on a job, just making it right, doing the right thing. Off-Grid Ontario, talking about being a high-cost contractor and your roofing materials are falling off a roof. Emoji. It's called integrity. A small guy can absolutely offer integrity. He was explaining the difference between when you're a young company, you may not have the same resources as a company that's more established. So one of the benefits of working with an established contractor is that they have those resources, and people took that personally.
It's about profitability, and it's about resources and profitability. It had nothing to do with integrity.
I mean, you're asking for an gold star when you're just doing your job without being sued. What the fuck? Wow, amazing. Great job, little buddy. Look at you. Amazing.
Thank you.
My guy, Heath Riley.
Thanks, Heath.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, brother.
Shout out to Heath.
Straight from your mom's basement. Love it.
Let's see here. when you throw cheap subs on this job, this is what happens. If an operator's on the job, this
I
doesn't
don't
happen.
subcontract. Thank you very much.
This is what happens to all roof brokers who sell the roof and never do the roof themselves. To be fair, you do look like a roof broker today, or an attorney.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
You know what? I'm gonna send you a picture of me standing up on a roof when I was probably 21, shingling, just red from being in the Florida heat, and then everybody can tell me I'm a roof broker. I'm gonna find that and I'm gonna send it to you so you can put that out there for them.
Yeah. A good contractor wouldn't fuck up someone else's property and try to turn it into a positive story. That's my guy, Sean Jackson.
Thanks, Sean Jackson.
Sean, appreciate you feeding that algorithm.
Yeah.
I charge more so I can break shit and deal with lawsuits. My guy, Ryan McCown. I mean, I got to tell you, there's 2,300 comments.
It's so good.
Follow the Ascend Digital Facebook page and you go check it out. It's one of the
It's
pin
really,
pieces of
really
content.
fun. By the way, didn't get butt hurt. I understand where these comments are coming from. And it's probably either just misconstruing the situation or just from complete ignorance.
We're just a couple guys chopping it up, you know, and trying to let people know, you know, for the guys out there, that shit does happen and that you're not alone and you've been there and, you know, it's fine, guys. But listen, I enjoy it. Stir the shit up because that helps us. It increases eyeballs on our brand. And, you know, at the end of the day, then they see our other content, which is unprecedented good content as it comes to growing your business, marketing and advertising. And then it becomes an easy choice to choose to depend on Ascend when it comes that time. So listen, get after it in the comments. Tell him he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, listen, and we can look at, you know, we can go revenue for revenue. We can go, 5-star review for 5-star review. We can do all that stuff and see if you're coming from a place of, you know, you're equal and you have a right to make those comments, or you're still newer and you haven't learned yet and you haven't figured it out. I don't know which one it is.
One of the things that we've touched on before in previous episodes that we've shot is your company's constantly evolving, and so too does how you should position yourself in the market. And
Absolutely.
there's always an advantage that can be had, whether you're the guy with one person and you're just subbing out all your work, or you're the $20 million company.
Yep.
There's always a strategic advantage. That one guy, his value, like you said it when you started your company, is, look, you're going to have me on every single job. Would you rather be a part of some $20 million company's operation where you're just a number? There's not that personal touch.
That's right.
There's not the owner on site.
I'm your guy.
And that's incredibly valuable.
Huge.
I think far too many times contractors don't understand, or they just lose it in the minutia of fucking getting riddled with bullets every day, of keeping their finger on the pulse of what their value is to that customer, and then being intentional about communicating what that value is, no matter who they're pitching against. What are your thoughts on that?
So I agree both ways because I've been at, both positions. I'm slowly trying to transition myself out of being so involved in the day to day. Like that problem went right to my cell phone that I was just talking about.
Also, he called me and we talked about it. Talked about
we did, yeah.
It wasn't so cool comic like that.
Yeah.
7 o'clock the next morning.
So there's definitely value on both sides. Having a good team, training your team properly, too, to basically handle it how you would handle it is definitely where I'm trying to go. That's where Corey's at.
Yeah.
And I learned from people like Corey. We were just with Eric, multiple people that you've brought me around.
Yeah.
So I was the one-man show. Call my cell phone, and I still get a lot of calls because referrals, stuff like that. But I'm definitely trying to step away and train more people.
And you don't lose authority or credibility in the eyes of the customer if you go from, the pitch to your new customers 2 years ago is, I'm your guy, I'm always here, you have access to me. Now the pitch becomes, look, we've seen a lot, and we have a solid team. We're consistently training. We have solid systems and operating procedures, standard operating procedures, to where we've built those based off of what can happen, what does happen. So we're equipped to deal with anything, and it's like a machine. So you should take solace in the fact of hiring us because we know what happens and we're prepared for it.
Well, we talk about that. I mean, and it's a matter of scalability is one, and I would argue we provide better service now than we did when I was the guy, because I wanted to do all these things. I wanted to provide all this, but it's capacity issue. You're busy. You're trying to sell jobs. You're trying to build jobs. You're trying to do all that. Some phone calls get missed. Phone calls don't get missed now. because if phone calls get missed and I find out about it, heads are going to roll.
Yeah.
So, we have the team and the processes and the procedures in place now to make sure that we do provide a much better customer service experience for sure.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And both these folks have worked with Ascend for some time, and both of them have called me day one with things and present day with things. And that conversation has evolved substantially. For instance, I was the guy rattling off emails at 4:15 a.m. and these guys are like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you emailing this morning? I'm like, I got shit I need to get done. You need to participate and I can't forget about it. So just when you're ready, give me the information I need so I can cook. Now you call me and you're like, hey, and I'm like, call Charlie, call Hannah.
Yep.
I don't even call you anymore.
When I call him, he's like, yeah, wrong person now.
It took time to get used to that, but here's the thing. I'm like, look, I'll happily take your call and we can talk about whatever it is that you want to talk about. But in business, it's important to remember that everything that we do, we want to do to increase the likelihood of success, decrease the likelihood that shit gets missed or fucked up. And in just being honest, Charlie, Hannah, they're much better equipped to minimize the likelihood of something going sideways. I'm very likely to forget to communicate a piece of what you're asking for. Exactly. I'm likely on the go with a client on a meeting, and my ability to communicate that information effectively has diminished significantly over the years. And that's why I'm like, look, you can talk to me. If I'm you, though, I'm taking it to this person. Just because, again,
they're going to handle
it. It's a much stronger likelihood. They're involved every single day in this facet of your campaign. They're better positioned to make sure that you get the desired outcome that you want.
1,000,000%.
But you can still call me.
Yeah, well, but
it's under that disclaimer, and don't get fucking mad at me if it gets.
Well,
that's what you always say.
So here's what I want to say about that, and I agree 100%. I don't outsource my pulse on what's happening with my customers, what's happening with our marketing. I don't outsource that. I keep, I know what's going on with all the jobs. We have a hot list for any customer that's not 100% happy. We have a list. We go through it every Monday. We make sure that those are taken care of. And I stay on top of our marketing to make sure our marketing's performing. And you stay on top of our accounts. We might not talk about them every day, but you know what's going on with our accounts, right? And so when I, email Charlie, I CC you on there, and you know what's going on. And sometimes you chime in and you peep in, making sure things are getting handled a certain way. So it doesn't mean just because you've grown as a company and you've been less involved with the day-to-day minutia, it doesn't mean that you still don't have a pulse on our accounts and know what's going on and keep up the high quality, just like we do with, with our customers. It's just, you cannot, when I get one of my old customers that call me directly, I direct it to the office and I say, hey, listen here, they're going to take care of your issue because we have escalation processes in place to ensure things don't get missed. And I think that's what people want to maybe, I don't know, give a different vantage point on saying, like, because you grow, you're going to be less likely, you're going to become a number, right? You're just going to become a number. And that's not the case. We actually have people, their entire job is to give our customers their attention and the best service that they can so that they can handle stuff at the lowest level without them getting pissed off and things taking a while and all of that. So if your focus is what can I do to give my customers a better experience and those processes are set up around that, it doesn't matter how big you get. It really doesn't.
We got accused that we think you've outgrown us not too long ago. And the irony of that comment was, it was 4:30, I think on a Thursday, I received a call and they're like, hey, we got to hop on a meeting. I was like, sure, I'll hop right on. So 6-month-old in tow, I've got my son in my arm on a Zoom meeting at the snap of a finger on a Zoom call with you.
And you've gotten too big for us.
Yeah. I feel like those things, they don't exactly go hand in hand with one another.
No.
Weekly meetings with the client, that a lot of the times they didn't show up for. And I think I see this all the time. The pay to go away mentality. We're paying you to do your job. You do your job. It's an egregious mindset that anyone who adopts should try to get rid of as soon as possible. And I don't care what you're talking about. Some things just aren't money problems, and you can't solve communication issues by throwing money at it.
You can't.
No.
Right? And it's frustrating as a business owner when you're putting resources and you're deploying resources to make sure that you're doing the best that you can. For instance, my director of operations gets paid very well, and it's his responsibility to be on these meetings. So when I carve out an hour and you don't communicate that you're not going to be able to make it,
there's lost time for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lost time, and it's okay. We're not going to cancel the next meeting. But I think that's one of the things over my 10 plus years of doing this that I see is there's so much good that can come out of that meeting as far as communicating what you're seeing, how you want your brand position, evolution within your company, your team, your pricing, right? If you've got an instant roof quote and we've got a price condition under this much per square, but that was 6 months ago and we have an update, like let us know what the new pricing is. You're getting these things consistently and you should be situationally aware to say, this is coming in low for this size of roof. Let me get with Mike and the team. Having those conversations consistently, and they don't have to be hour-long conversations, right? They can be bite-sized, 5-10 minutes, bring us up to speed.
Charlie and I get stuff figured out usually within 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Charlie's quick on it.
Yep.
Even the one day I called you guys, it was like 6 because I couldn't get into something. You guys figured it out.
Yeah.
You had Dan on, Charlie on.
Cassie.
Bing, boom,
I
boom.
called Cassie.
Yeah.
It was
all
we
taken
care.
care of in 10 minutes.
I would say that's one of the biggest difference. I mean, it sounds like a very low bar to, but I care. My team cares. I'm blessed for my team. They're fantastic, and I'm blessed for people like you.
Well,
for giving us a shot.
I think the people that you work with, and you and I've spoken about this before, is that, the people that you work with, and they show that they're willing to take on their part, because us as contractors and your clients, we have our responsibilities that we need to pay attention to as well. And I would imagine that when you have somebody like O'Connor that's responsive, pays attention to his marketing, I pay attention to my marketing. We work together on things that may need to be dialed in or fixed or whatever. And we don't just give you shit for it and say, hey, you guys screwed up. I would imagine that you're going to be a little bit more inclined to spend more time with those clients because you know that they're going to take whatever your suggestions are, make whatever changes that you're saying we need to make, or just actually do some stuff that we're not doing.
I tell people, we'll give you as much time as you'll give us.
Exactly.
And
that's why I say I don't outsource my oversight on the marketing, right? I know what's going on with my marketing, with our leads, with our conversion rates. I know what's going on with that because we had a situation where LSA just shut down our ad account. And obviously you guys didn't know anything about it. And, if I'm not paying attention to it, and I will say you guys don't even manage our LSA, but who got on and helped me fix it? Dan, you guys, right? Because I'm like, I don't know what to do here. And they're like, hey, let's hop on a call and
shout
figure
out
it out.
Dan.
Yeah. So that's the point. And it's these other contractors that may not pay attention to the pulse of their business, right? They subcontract out, or they're roof brokers, or they're whatever. And you have something going on your project and nobody takes care of it. Nobody fixes it. It's one of the reasons I don't subcontract out, because I train my team. And we had an issue over the summer where we were getting some callbacks for stupid stuff like, vents were leaking, right? Just dumb stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was just a process thing. My guys were cutting a corner. We trained, we got them to figure it. We sorted it out and we don't have that issue anymore. So it's the people that pay attention to their business, the people that pay attention to what's going on. They charge enough so that they have the resources, they're profitable, all of those things. So they don't have to hide from the customers, those are all the things that we're talking about, because things do go wrong in business. Things go wrong in your business. Things go wrong in my business. And that's really what that whole segment of the podcast was about, is like, make sure that you're profitable enough that you run a business when inevitably something goes wrong, you're going to be able to take care of your customer, period.
100%.
Yeah.
We generate leads. Other companies generate leads. Companies themselves, roofing companies, generate leads for themselves. And you have salespeople. Those salespeople get in a slump.
Yep.
They're like the quarterback that threw a couple picks and now they can't get out of their own way. And now every lead's dog shit. I'm not selling any of these things. They're all fucking garbage. What's going on? As an owner, how do you manage that, and how do you cut through to whether it's an actual quality of lead issue or if it's a mindset of sales rep issue?
I'm going to let you take that one.
I was going to let you take that one.
The answer is they fucking call me and like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, first you call Mike.
I do an analysis on their CRM and money spent and leads brought in. And I'm like, this is a fucking salesperson issue. No.
I mean, sometimes it's just on them, right? The follow-up, I only have one. It's me and another guy that do a lot of sales. Another guy does some, but it's usually basic stuff that they're not doing.
Yeah.
That they're in the slump, right? Follow-ups, calling right away if we're getting like an instant quote lead. I'm always like, you got to call. Once we get them, you got to call right away, right?
Yeah.
Don't wait till tomorrow. The next day, they might not answer, or they got someone else out there.
I have an interesting statistic.
Speed to leads
Speed to lead is huge.
Yep.
Roofing Contractor magazine, almost all, 97% of homeowners said they expect a response from a roofing contractor within a week.
It's not true.
That's horseshit.
Yeah, that's horseshit.
Could you imagine?
If we had a week to respond, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
We'd be like sitting back, like, I'll get to
I'll call you next month, you know? Don't worry.
That seemed like a wild stat.
That is a wild
I came across
stat.
that earlier. I was trying to find stats to talk about in content, like monologue style content. And I was like, that doesn't seem. I feel like everyone would be out of business.
Yeah, that has
100%.
not been my experience.
I don't even let
at
it go
all.
a day.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be speed to lead.
The reason I talk about this stuff a lot, as you guys know, one-on-one when we're talking, like, I want you guys to make as much money as possible. One, because I want to see you win. Secondly, because I know the more money you make, the happier
more we
you'll
spend
be.
more.
The more you'll refer, the more you'll
Yeah.
spend. Oh, you know, everybody wins. Win, 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 win. Let's all win.
Yeah.
And like, I was meeting with a client of mine. He does around 20 million, and we were looking at ways to be more profitable next year. And we were looking at maybe, scaling back some of his traditional media. We were looking, but here's what I think that when you talk about profitability, net profit, that a lot of people don't think about because it's not as obvious. There's so many opportunities to increase your bottom line and your net profit simply by doing more with what you have.
Huge.
It's not spending less.
Yep.
It's not cutting things. And the problem with salespeople is they inherently want to do as little as possible to make as much as possible. I was one of them. Yeah, I'm going to figure out what's my number. How much do I need to make this month? X amount of thousands. Sweet. Go out there. First of the month, I'm grinding. Hit that number on the 4th. I'm like,
Coasting.
Yo, Johnny, you trying
Yeah.
to go golf at noon?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I go into my meetings. I'm like, we're just out here. It's a little struggle right now, but I'm at goal. So, we're gonna keep
we're
keep
good,
pushing.
right?
Yeah.
Now the difference was I was self-gen. I was generating all my own opportunities. But even so, there were unintended consequences of me being a part of that team. So if other people see that I'm not performing in week 2, week 3, week 4, they're less likely to piggyback on my energy of success and go at it just as hard, even though they're not at goal. But especially when you're paying for opportunities, that's a real problem. If you're paying $150 or $200 a lead on average, and sales rep A gets to his number on his first 2 calls and you send him another 50 leads for the next month, I promise you, if you're not managing him on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis to hold him accountable, to check in and make sure he's running those leads properly, checking on documented follow-up, making sure that the quotes are getting sent, making sure once they're open, they're followed up on, he is not working those fucking leads the same as if he had 0 sales. It's just not going to happen.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, we just went through this, and this was the internal problem I was talking about. I basically just got rid of most of my sales team. I kept 3 people, and one of them right now is in a tenuous position to where we're probably going to dial him back quite substantially on what we're providing for leads. The answer to your question is, how do we manage that? And it's really, we track a lot of data from the sales team, and we stay on top of it. We go through it every week. But one thing that has made a huge difference that we've done is I put a leaderboard in the office, and I have that leaderboard updated every week. And we've also started offering weekly incentives for whoever finishes first. And so building that aspect of competition has really made a huge difference. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I train the living daylights out of my sales team. Really comprehensive sales training. Even guys that have trained with other sales trainers come in and are like, "Wow, this is a really comprehensive sales process. But without the tracking and without the managing aspect of it, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know? And so, one of the things that I was getting very, very, very frustrated with is there are 4 things that I need my sales teams to do in order for us to support them so that they can make more money. And I just assumed it's like, okay, I'm putting these things in place for your success. You're just going to do it. Doesn't work like that. Okay. So we need them. So we canvas around our builds. We have a full canvassing process that we do around our builds. I need them to manage their CRM so that we can send out direct mail depending on where these people are in there. And then we also do some automation stuff, to keep in contact with them. I need their job folders to be 100% complete so that our handoff from sales to production is nice and clean and efficient. And then I need them to go out and I need them to market themselves and develop relationships and talk to insurance agents and realtors and all these other people that can be, referral sources for them. And we literally either have a program or a piece of technology for all 4 of those categories. They just weren't doing it. And because they weren't doing it, I can't support them on the back end to squeeze all the juice out of the leads that I'm paying for. And so what I ended up doing was we revamped their comp structure. And essentially what I did is I give my junior reps, I give 8%. So when they come in and they're brand new, they get 8% of the gross of the total. And I know everybody's gonna, oh my God, it's such trash. I know, I can hear it now, but it's industry standard. And so the senior reps get 10% after they've sold their first 2 million. However, every month they start at either 6% or 4%. And they have to do those 4 categories. And so if they manage their CRM, they get their percentage. If they manage their referral relationships, they get their percentage. If they turn in their job folders complete, they get their percentage. And if they canvas, they get their percentage. Literally just asking them to do their job that they signed on for in their employment agreement. And so if they just do their job base, they get their base percentages.
It's smart.
Yep. And so I talked with a few people about it because I thought maybe that was going to be too, I thought maybe that was too much. Right. And I talked to several people in the industry. One of them runs $100 million roofing company. And he's like, brother, why did it take you so long to do that? Right. It's fair. And especially fair because I'm doing things on the back end to help get more opportunities for them so that they can make more money. And so, but without the tracking, without the managing, and without like paying attention to the specific details on what the activities I need them to do so they're successful, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So the tracking, not only the managing part, but the tracking part is a huge part of making sure that you capitalize on the opportunities that Ascend provides for us.
Oh, shucks.
Yep.
Make a boy blush in front of all these people.
We're getting like 40 calls a day right now. Just want you to know that. It's insane.
He just had a storm, so all you that aren't, don't be hitting me up talking about, what are you doing for him that you're not doing for me?
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Huge point though, okay, is, if you do not manage your marketing and do everything the way that you're supposed to, when an event happens, you're not going to get that many calls because you don't have that wide net cast already.
Yeah. We have a guy in Georgia who is absolutely crushing it. You know who you are. But he calls me on a Saturday and it was a fucking debacle. He got like 200 calls the first day after that first storm that came through Georgia and Florida. So we had done some things working tandemly on the weekend with the CRM company. I'm on a call. We got Dan on a call with him, Charlie on a call, just to make sure that to help manage the flow of the leads so that his sales director can parse them out, get them where they need to be, implement automation and things like that.
Ooh, that sounds awful.
It wasn't great, but that's why people depend on Ascend.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, this was so helpful. Thank you. And like that, listen, I always tell people, if you do the right thing, like money will follow, right? Money's a great byproduct of just doing the right thing. So
just do the right thing.
Love my clients, man. Y'all are great. So what's the average number of follow-up per sales rep in your CRM?
Interesting. You should ask that. So one of the other things that I instituted, and this is the reason that a couple reasons why I needed the CRM nice and clean, is they get a certain amount of time now with that prospect. And if they don't close them within that certain amount of time, and there's not a like a smoking gun reason, we've started this rehash program, and we take it from them. So a roofing is 5 days. And the other, so we do siding and windows and all that other stuff too. They have 14 days. So if they can't close the roof within 5 days, they get it taken. And if they can't close we do a TO. It's not, they don't get it taken from them. We take it over and we go and we try to close it. And then for the other jobs, the siding and all that stuff, we give them 14 days because that's a little longer sales cycle. And just so you guys know, this wasn't something that we just arbitrarily landed on. We looked at what the sales cycle was from lead to close over the last 4 years. And so, we figured that was a fair amount of time for the sales rep to have that lead. Yeah. And what that's done is that's forced them to follow our sales process and try to close at the table rather than be like, okay, it's fine. I'll call you back later or whatever. And then somebody sells the job out from under them or, whatever happens. And so the answer to that is they get 5 and 14 days.
So I did collections, as you know, for many years, and it's super cutthroat. Yeah. So you have rules around your possession of an account, and some people are more likely to pay their debt off than others. For instance, you've got somebody with a 720 credit score. They forgot about this, or maybe they did it for their kid and they just found out about it. That's their only delinquent account. They have $1 million mortgage,
they're gonna pay it. Yeah.
But they only have $200K left on the mortgage and they've got $50,000 in available credit and they owe $10,000. They're probably pretty likely to pay it. Other side of it is someone with a 459 credit score who's got 37 delinquent accounts at 22 years old. They might be less likely to pay. Who am I to judge?
Yeah, right.
But we should use indicators in everything that we do. So you want possession of an account. You could do something called hot it, where you get it, I think it was for 5 days, and nobody could touch it. If that person gets a letter and calls in and pays, you get credit for it. You can never talk to them. If you skip trace, which means using information to find them online, contact them, you get paid, whatever. And then there was a promise to pay where it's, okay, I've got some sort of commitment. I talked to this person, and they said by this date it's going to pay. And you could promise it out for up to 28 days. But I'll tell you, once that 5 days pass or that 28 days pass, or sometimes at the end of the month, there'd be a 3-day period, the 28th, 29th, 30th type deal where they'd open them up. And you know what? Eat what you kill. Anyone can call this. And you couldn't call more than once in a day because there's state laws around that. But sure. You get in at 8 o'clock, you go into that purge file. Your boy used to eat. Listen, I'd be in that motherfucker at 7:45, yo, run me an audit. I want everybody in the purge file that has less than 3 derogs, has more than $5K available on a credit card. Run it, give it to me. Y'all want money? I'm gonna get you money.
Yep.
It creates somewhat of a cutthroat, especially if you're just implementing something like that. But I'll tell you what, motherfuckers are on their shit. They're checking it. They're making their calls. They're trying to get in touch. They are scratching and clawing to get in touch with these folks to get this thing wrapped up.
Look, let's look at the situation the other way. Okay. If my sales team didn't have their calendar filled and they weren't running appointments every day, what do you think they would say to me, Kris?
Be like, where's my leads, Corey?
Where's my leads,
What are we
Dad?
doing? Yeah.
Yeah. What's going on?
Come on, Pops.
Yeah. Right. It's there are expectations. They expect me to provide opportunities for them, which we do. And I expect them to handle those with, every bit of responsibility that they can to try to close and sell that job. The other piece of that we really try to do, and I know you guys do this as well, is our production and our customer service side. I tell my sales team, listen, you're going out and you're sticking your neck out and you're selling this job to these homeowners and you're telling them that it's going to be a great experience and that everything's going to go well. And, and if it doesn't, our team's going to take care of it and all of those things. And I'm going to deliver on this. Okay. Just like I expect for you to deliver on the upfront side and sell this job for us. And so it works hand in hand. If you don't do your job, or if I don't do my job, neither one of us are successful.
No.
So all I'm doing is just holding you accountable for the side of your job that you said you're going to do.
That's fair.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
fair. I had a conversation with an employee recently. Like we both expect things from one another, right? Like I expect you to be on time. It's a pet peeve of mine. It shows that you care.
Sure.
Right? I was like, you expect on Friday for money to be in the account, right? Like how crazy would it be if like money wasn't there?
I use that analogy all the time.
Like that'd be,
right?
That'd be crazy. And I'm pretty sure that you'd be like, wow, Mike's untrustworthy because he's supposed to have my money here. Like, yeah. And it's not a big deal, right? At the end of the day, like you're 5-10 minutes late. It's not the hugest deal in the world, but I think
it is.
It is a big deal.
It
That's
is a
my
big deal.
biggest
It's a
pet
big
peeve.
deal to me. I like communicate. If you've got a job scheduled, let's say for Thursday, it's pissing rain, you're not going to be there because you can't tear the roof off. You should probably text the homeowner and be like, hey, by the way,
reach out right away.
we're not going to be there because
It's obvious that we're not going to be there.
It's obvious, but always reach out. I just talked to my Pam about
there's a catastrophic flood. I think I see Noah's Ark going down the street. But also, we're not going to be there.
it happened last week
It happened last week.
with my PM when we were out of town at the roofing process conference.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you reach out and tell him? He's like, well, no. It's a blizzard out here. And I'm like, you didn't call him, text him, nothing. He's just assuming we're not going to show up. I'm like, he might, but at least reach out.
Yeah,
It shows we care.
I think, especially when dealing with customers, like we shouldn't make assumptions. We should do our best not to make assumptions. Listen, there's always going to be some level of assumptions made, but as far as being clear and concise and having expectations clear of one another, I think that's one of the easiest ways that you can move towards a successful relationship, whatever that means to you or your customer, right? And employees and family members and friends,
Sure.
and everyone, really. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game here. Want to play a game? Christian, cue Jigsaw. I want him on the tricycle, the one with him on the tricycle. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the one where they're doing corporate words and oh my God. Put a link to that in the description, Christian. You got to find it. If you're watching this, make sure you go watch that Jigsaw video. 2 words or less. If you're looking for a salesperson tomorrow, what are 2 things that you're looking for a green flag or for a red flag?
Love it.
Start with him.
No, you go first. You don't get the right to come in here and dictate. This is my show.
Ugh.
He's
2 words.
give me the good or the bad. You can use 3 words if you need it.
Reliability.
Reliability. Okay. I feel like that's a good one.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like people that are not risk averse, personally.
But that's not 2 words. Risk averse?
Risk averse.
Oh, well, you said a lot more than that. Okay, risk averse.
Risk averse is a plus.
No, you don't want it.
I don't want a risk averse person.
You want somebody risk tolerant?
I want a risk tolerant person.
Really?
Yep.
Why?
Risk tolerant people are going to be, they're going to be a little bit more likely to be a closer. They're going to be less likely to panic if they're having a month that's not necessarily stellar, and they're going to be more likely to take a commission only job.
Aren't they also going to be more likely to sell it at a margin that hurts the profitability of the company to get to their number?
If you let them.
Elaborate.
Well, you got to put guardrails up for your sales team. I mean, we all know that. There's just, with the personality of a really good salesperson, we also know that there's some guardrails that you got to put up.
Isn't there also an increased likelihood isn't there also an increased likelihood he's the guy that you pay on Friday and you don't see him till Wednesday?
Had it happen. Yeah. That's why they don't get their commission check at the beginning of the month at full anymore.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Man.
I think if you realize, we have this conversation all the time about, salespeople managing jobs and doing production and stuff. And I think that's one of the biggest missteps you can make as a company owner. And I understand it has to happen sometimes based on the size of the company, but your salesperson, your real superstar salespeople, generally speaking, okay, I'm not saying that this is a hard and fast rule, but generally speaking, your superstar salespeople are not going to be really detail oriented. They're just not, right? And my production people, I need them to be super detail oriented, and they get really flustered when they have to handle out of the box problems with homeowners because they don't have the bullshit in them that the salespeople typically do. They're two different personality types.
Just know I'm never bullshitting you.
Yeah. Unicorns like you.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah.
Well, no, look, I mean, you're a great salesperson. You're detail oriented and you're very detail driven. You don't see that very often in a good salesperson. You really don't. That's not been my experience. Okay. And so, as owners, it's up to us to put guardrails up for our production staff and to put guardrails up for our sales staff.
That's a really good point. If somebody were looking for a sales manager and they ask you both of your feedback, hey, I'm going to take this really good sales guy, I'm going to make him my manager because he obviously knows how to do the job really well.
Love that you're shaking your head.
Well,
no.
I don't even have a sales manager. I just know that's not how it works.
Corey, what would you say?
I agree wholeheartedly with Kris. It can work, but you have to. Just because they're a superstar salesperson doesn't necessarily mean they have the aptitude to manage, and so you do find those unicorns. There are some that understand the data and how to manage, but typically it doesn't. It doesn't. Those two things don't exist together.
Well, that's part of it. And I definitely agree with that. And the other part is in most sales ecosystems that I've been a part of, the manager doesn't make more than the rep, right? Your top performing rep is going to out earn your manager in a lot of instances.
Well, depending on the override system, sure.
Yes.
I think that's a hard balance to make, especially if you have a superstar salesperson that came from just crushing it, right? And then you ask them to go into a managerial position. You're like, hey, bud, you're going to make less money. Probably not going to go well.
Well, and I can imagine it would be wildly frustrating if I'm absolutely crushing it. I'm knocking out of the park. I'm making tons of money. Now I get put into the situation where I'm responsible for 7 people and 4 of them I just feel like they're absolutely incapable and
Sure.
I'm going to suffer because of it. I can't imagine how challenging that would be to come in positive every day and influence the change in a positive way.
It's tough.
I feel like most sales guys don't even want to be in that position.
Yeah.
My dad, salesman his whole life, went to be the manager for about 6 months. He said,
I'm
nope,
good.
I'm out. He goes, I'm going back to sales.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's not in their blood.
Well,
It's
and
different.
you typically don't want your sales manager to sell, because that creates some friction, in the department as well. If your sales team thinks that the sales manager's poaching the best leads, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that causes friction. But it's more about paying attention to data and keeping them on track and continuing to train them and watching where they're failing and understanding. And that's the hard part too, because, if you have a sales manager that is actually managing, is in the office and, doing all that, but when they have to do ride-alongs, then what? If they're not super comfortable with the process, if they're not really good at selling, then it's going to be hard for them to maybe pick up on some of the nuanced things that the rep isn't doing or needs to do if they're not intimately acquainted with the sales process. So I think the big problem there is unless you have like a really dialed in sales process that you're using, that you can bring in a sales manager that might not necessarily be a top tier salesman, that's not going to work either.
Well, this was great. I'm tired and I'm hungry. So we're going to end it here. I want to thank you two for coming in. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too.
Oh, we did.
It was a great time.
Yeah.
Great time. Invoices in the mail. No?
Checks in the mail too.
Tough crowd.
Yeah,
Oh,
checks in the mail too, buddy.
what? Oh, now you want to be funny. Thank you to all of you tuning in. Really appreciate your time. If this helps somebody share it with them. They'll be excited that you did, and a debt of gratitude, right? And thanks to the team at Roofer again for help making this all possible. And we gone.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.